Good afternoon, everyone. This is Deborah
Good
Jones, your
afternoon.
Blue, your Blue Table Talk host. And so we're here tonight with Audwin Sam, Councilman Audwin Samuel, put it like that. And so we're going to ask him some questions later on. But before we ask him, I have my co-host with me, Toya Ozan. Hello, Toya.
Hello, how you guys doing?
We're just peachy. We're just, and these are peachy. Okay. So anyway, before we get started, I'm gonna always tell you about the location of I'm gonna tell you about the location of the voting system. I just got off the phone. Just got off a podcast with James, and I threw it to the side. So let me tell you about it. The early voting is getting ready to start, and it's gonna start next Monday, April 24th through May the 2nd. The locations will be Rogers Park Community Center, 6540 Gladys Avenue, Jefferson County Courthouse right in the lobby, the main location, 1085 Pearl Street. We also have John Paul Davis Community Center right there on 3580 East Lucas Drive. Theodore Jones Library in the meeting room, 4255 Annette Road. And the dates and hour for all these locations will be April 24th through 28th, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. through 5 p.m. April 29th, 2023 on Saturday, which will be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. as well. April 30th will be Pew to the Poll, which will be Sunday, 12 noon to 5 p.m. And also May 1st through the 2nd, Monday and Tuesday only from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now you have your election day, which will be May 6th, and the polls will be open from 7 to 7. So you have a lot of time to get out there and vote. You got after work. You forget at 5 o'clock. The polls are closed at 7 o'clock. And on May the 1st and May the 2nd. While the rest of the days are gonna close at 5 o'clock. So you can even go on your lunch break, ride on down on your lunch break or whatever. Or, standing out before time, 8 o'clock. Time to be a few minutes late because people understand voting. And voting right now is crucial. This is a crucial race. It means more to us than the national because it's right here in our city. So, we need to get out there and vote and vote for the person of your choice, not because you like them, you know them, you've been to school with them. Listen to these podcasts, guys, and then take it from there and go to those polls and vote. All right. Going across the screen right now, and we have HTTPS link tr.ee Beaumont Port Arthur vote. That's if you need a ride to the poll, that's the link you need to go to, and hit on that link, and somebody will come get you or whatever. So write that link down. If you know somebody need a ride, that's it. So they sent it to me today, and they sent it to me after the podcast I did earlier today. So that's the link. I'll have it on each podcast. So with that being said, we're gonna have Mr. Audwin Sam, Councilman Audwin Sam. I'm sorry, Councilman Audwin Sam. Introduce yourself. I know we all know him, but just give us a little synopsis about yourself.
Well, as you say, I've been in Beaumont most of my life. I was born in Newton, Texas.
Yeah.
But I came here early on, 1964. I went to Beaumont Public Schools. I went from Martin Elementary to Lincoln Junior High, then on to Beaumont High. And so I then went on to Lamar University. I attended Lamar on a football scholarship.
Okay.
So I was an athlete all my life, and that's pretty much where I got a lot of my motivation as being an athlete. And so I went to Lamar, spent 4 years there, got my degree in sociology. And then I went on to TSU, Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law. Stayed there for 3 years, and I did all of my training, educational training on campus. And that's where I got my degree. I got my doctorate of jurisprudence in the practice of law. And from there, I went on. When I was a bit younger, I decided J.W. Albert was my neighbor. And he came to me and he said, Audwin, Beaumont's been good to you. What are you going to do for Beaumont. And he asked me about running for election. And J.W. Albert convinced me to run for BISD school board. So I ran for school board trustee. I was elected to that position, and I began working with some folks like Tobe Duhan, Maury Frank, Al Price, those guys back then. I was working in their campaigns. And so I was successful in going on to BISD school board. But right after I went on to BISD school board, uh, there was a push to have BISD dissolved. And so BISD was dissolved. They dissolved the school board and they attached the district BISD to South Park Independent School District.
Right.
And when they attached it to South Park Independent School District, they assumed the school board for South Park Independent School District. So I was out. I only served about a year there. And thereafter, the elections came up again, and I was asked what was I going to do. And that was in 1984. And in 84, I ran for city council. And I was fortunate to be elected to serve on city council. And I served there for a period of about 9 years. And I left. I didn't run for re-election. I chose to go back I went to law. That's during the time I was in law school. So after that, when I came back, I was appointed back to city council. And I've served Ward 3 since that time.
Wow. And that's been a couple of years, right?
Yeah, a couple. There's about 32 years total.
Right. So since you spent 32 years as city councilman Ward 3, why are you still interested in this position?
It's not the position. Some folks say it's politics. I'm not a politician. I chose to be a public servant. I wanted to make things better. I wanted to try to do my part in making things better. I came from a family of believers. They believed in God, and they believed in He has a destiny for us all. And I felt like He prepared me to serve the people. And that's what I began to do. I was trained by servant leaders, not folks that wanted to just be in a position to be in a position, but folks like Maury Frank and Tobe Duhan and those guys, and Al Price, they were fighters. They were fighting for justice in our community when there were many injustices. We walked, we marched, we fought to get Martin Luther King Boulevard. We marched to get that. We marched down Washington Boulevard. But that was when our community was brought together because of the injustices. So we had to come together. And we walked together, we fought together, and we made strides. And that's why I'm so disenchanted with our inability to reunite as a community now. Because united we stand and divided we fall. And like I said, I've been an athlete, so I know what it means to be a part of a team. But when you have someone on your team that's giving away your plays or not giving their full attention or time or efforts to the overall cause, that's when we have problems. And that's what I've experienced in recent years. I've always been a fighter. I fought even when I was fighting by myself. I grew weary. I'm human. I'm flesh, just like everybody else. Being a public servant is not a part-time job. It's all the time.
Right.
So sometimes others see the battles Sometimes they don't. I've experienced all kind of things since I've been on council. So anyway, that's what brings me to where I am. I want to see Beaumont a better place, and that's what I'm working for. I'm not trying to run for another position, and I'm really trying to get to retirement. Because see, I'm not only do I serve the community on council, but I'm serving the community in my job. I'm fighting for rights for people who've been put in jail. I'm fighting for rights of those individuals who have mental issues, mental handicaps, and they're being taken advantage of by the criminal justice system. All of these things I fight every day for. And during these fights, sometimes it puts my family at risk. It impacts my family. It's not as easy as a lot of folks think. But anyway, that's where I am, Deb.
Well, you serving in Ward 3, so the extension of Ward 3, how far is that from where to where?
Ward 3, it comes from the north. The northern boundary is Concord Road and the LNVA Canal. Then everything on the east side of Concord Road. And that means from Concord, Helbig Road, Bigner Road, all the way down. And then when you get to Lucas, going down Lucas till you get to the Nature's River, Pine Street. That's going to the east. The river is my dividing line to the east. Then I have all downtown, everything inside Concord Road, downtown, on into the south end of Beaumont to the plant. And my boundary there becomes Washington Boulevard to the south. So as you go up Washington Boulevard, I go all the way to 4th Street. That's as far west as I get is 4th Street. Everything on the north side of Washington and everything on the east side of 4th Street, all the way back to the north end.
Well, it seems to me that Ward 3 is the largest ward.
It is the largest ward in the city.
Right. Wow. So with that being said, since you've been in the council in that seat for like 32 years and everything, what else do you want to accomplish for the Ward 3?
I want to see Ward 3 look like all the other wards in the city. I want to see Ward 3, and rather than having equal attention, I wanted to have equitable attention. There's so many things that we have a disadvantage to, in that we much of Ward 3 is a food desert. But we don't determine, we can't make businesses come into the older areas of the city because they want to go into areas where there's populations that spend money. They want to go into areas where the infrastructure is sound, and they want to go in the area where there are people. And a lot of times that doesn't happen to be in the older areas of the city. So I want us to have the same quality of streets, the same quality of clean water coming into our homes. I want to see the same quality of wastewater going out of our homes. I want to see us have the same type of streets. I want us to have clean communities. But that's sometimes a dilemma, not just with the majority community, but many times it's with the minority community itself. So these are all things that, you have to deal with. And most times, any of these issues, most of the issues deal with finance, money. And we don't want to increase taxes, but we don't want to cut services. And we want to have the same type of infrastructure in our communities as everywhere else. So that means many times it's a fight.
Right. Right. So because you mentioned finances and everything. So since 2021 and we're now in 2023, the increase of the property is it more, the tax roll, is it more now than it was back in 2021, or has it remained the same?
Well, we just rolled back the tax rate of recent 69 cents per $100 evaluation.
Mhm.
So we've been trying to maintain a balance, but we've also been seeing an increase in industrial agreements. We have some community partners here that contribute sometimes more than their fair share. But what's fair is kind of speculative. But like ExxonMobil, they are huge investors in our economy, and we have. And I'll say this: since I've been on council, this has been the best council to work with that's being equitable in the distribution of funds throughout our city than any other time I've been on council. So right now we're in a good place. And I'm afraid that our community just doesn't understand what's happening in this upcoming election, but that's another story for another time, I guess.
I have to bring you back on tomorrow night.
Well, it's really sad because what I'm hearing out in the community, um, a lot of people are not making decisions on what's going to be in the best interest of our community as a whole. And when I say our community, my community is Beaumont in general. Okay, we have to look out what's best for Beaumont in general. But also, my community is North End. My community is where I go shop, where I go to church, those individuals that I attended school with, those children of the people I attended school with. That's my community. So I'm generally concerned about the well-being of all the citizens of my community of Beaumont, but I'm specifically concerned about that community in which where I was raised, where I went to school, those people I see in church, those people I see on the streets, those people I see at the courthouse. And that's not what everybody sees on council.
Right, right.
And when we begin to allow others to cause us to lose focus on what's really important, that's when we have problems. And that's what's happening right now. It's not how much you like a person, but this is about who can get the job done. You know, I don't tout what I've done. That's not my thing, because I'm not trying to get another position. I'm just trying to serve the best I can in what I'm doing. But you hear the negative part about the 32 years. But I think you have to take into account my 12 years in grade school. I went on to try to better understand society, and I went on to try to learn more by going to college. That was another 4 years. I was in training. And then I went on to law school to be trained even more so. And then I became involved, and in order for me to get better, I had to associate with those who could help me to learn the craft, learn the trade. And that came through training with the National League of Cities, a national organization of mayors and city council people from all over the United States. And with that came training, and as I began to learn more, people put more confidence in me to the point that I began to chair a public safety committee for the National League of Cities. Then I became the president of the National Black Caucus of local elected officials. That's over 5,000 members. So I began to be exposed to not only problems that exist in other parts of the country, but I began to be exposed to problems that exist in other parts of the country that existed in Beaumont. I was able to see how they dealt with some of the issues. And sometimes I was able to bring these solutions to Beaumont. You know, I'm not, I try to remain humble. My parents taught me that.
Right.
It's not about what I've done, but it is important what I've done. I've tried to have development in all areas of the city: downtown, central city, north end, and south end. When I first came on council, south end, everywhere in the south end was open ditches. And I went through a period in when most of the streets in the south end became curb and gutter. Now I'm having to deal with maintaining the infrastructure in the south end, the curb and gutter, and extending to other areas. I've had to do the same thing in the north end. The north end ditches, open ditches. But now most of the major streets in the north end are curb and gutters.
Mm-hmm.
We had flooding issues all over town. We still have areas of flood, but we are spending over $1 million every year in Ward 3 to try and maintain ditches, maintain the streets, and develop new infrastructure. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot to be done, but I can't do it by myself. It takes 4 votes to allocate funds to whatever area we're trying to get, and it's not me by myself. Like right now, Robin, AJ, Chris Durio, then you got Mike Getz, Taylor Neal, Randy Felshaw, and did I name 7?
I think so.
No, I think you're missing somebody.
Neil, he said
Neil Taylor. Okay, you said everyone.
Said it, yeah.
But anyway, I'm not going to, I didn't want to just talk. Ask me the question. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah,
well, actually, you did. What I was going to ask you answered, because a lot of people think that you only can make the decisions on the, fixing streets and everything. So I'm glad you did clear that up.
No, we have an annual budget, and the budget is fixed every year. We adjust the budget. We have projects in the budget right now that's been in there for 2 or 3 years. And sometimes the way it goes, they continue to work on those things that's already been allocated and put in the budget. But then there are times others want to put new things in to bump some of the projects that we already have. And that's where being in a minority has its devastating impacts.
So you spoke earlier about the infrastructure of the streets and drainage and all that. So like I've been asking all the candidates who have been on the podcast about infrastructure. And I do live in Ward 3, and I've been having problems, with my street, my area. And they have put on pipes 2 streets over, maybe 2 or 3 streets over, and then they missed my street, then went back and picked up the other streets. And so my thing is, I've been talking to them about come and fix the pipes, come and do this and that, and I still haven't had it done. So
Okay.
What can I do as a
Well,
citizen
well,
to
see, what that's the thing. Sometimes what we don't know impacts us more than the things we do know. Um, when you talk about our wastewater, are you talking about water coming in, pipes
what?
going in, or
Yeah,
pipes
because
coming out?
the water comes into my toilets and it overflows.
Okay, that's wastewater.
Okay.
And see, it's just like the body. The city is like a body. We
Mm-hmm.
have veins. Those are the pipes. Now we have pipes that goes into the house that takes clean water. It's a system, a clean water system, where the water goes into every house. Well, first it leaves the plant where it's treated, and it goes into a larger line that's called a main, freshwater main, and then it goes to the various areas of the city. Then the main that runs the water line going to the houses, then it connects with each house. Then there's a system coming out, your wastewater system. So those areas where the pipes are larger, the mains, those are the ones that tend to see the deterioration over time. And sometimes you can't get to the smaller lines until you refurbish or replace the larger lines. So you have to look at the system as a whole. They can't just go into one area to address a problem, because the problem might not be in the area where they're seeing the issue. The problem could be somewhere on the main line that's causing the problems on the lines going to the homes. So it's not as clear cut as a lot of people may think. So that could be one of the things you're dealing with in your neighborhood.
Okay, let me talk to my viewers right now, because they're on here, and I will have to throw the question that they're asking to you.
Okay.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
thank you guys for joining Blue Table Talk tonight. I appreciate you guys, and like I said earlier, um, I really appreciate you guys. And go ahead and hit that share button. Let them know that Councilman Audwin Samuel, who is running for Ward 3, Councilman, he's on the air tonight. And so let's go and support some of his ideas. Cheryl Jackson says you have, I'm going to read all of them to you before you even answer them. Okay. You've had
Mm-hmm.
32 years to make some of these changes. Gwendolyn Scott Lee says, very good, best wishes to Audwin.
Hey, Deb, let me address some
Cheryl,
of them.
go ahead.
Okay. For example, they said, what have I, third thing, what has been done? What are some of the
You had
changes?
32 years to make some of these changes. Right.
Okay. I can say, as far as infrastructure, there's been a new Buford Street Capital Development Project, where Buford went from open ditches to curb and gutters. Carroll Street Development, Madison Street Development, Irving Capital Development, and that was before curb and gutters. But now that it's curb and gutters, now we're at a time we're having to do maintenance and renew the infrastructure there.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's not going to be done all at one time. But all of these projects came in the early 90s to take them from open ditches to curb and gutter. Then with that, there's been Park Street development. That's in the south end. North end, it's been ML King Park development, Riverfront development, Event Center. That was a development project. Martin Luther King, which was Railroad Avenue. That was new development. All of that was during the time I was on council. The Elmo Willard Library, the Sterling Pruitt Center, John Paul Davis Center, then the Urban Street Business Enterprise Zone, the housing development with the co-ops. Some of those homes that were built in the South End, that was through a co-op with the city of Beaumont. Those programs went away. Those were federal programs that we implemented here in Beaumont. So those are some of the things that was being done along the way. Is it enough? No. Is there a need for more? Yes. But those are the things that was being done, that was being fought to get at least equal. But now we're not talking about equal distribution. We're talking about equitable distribution. That means we need to get more money going into Ward 3 than in Ward 2.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, but it takes 4 votes to get.
That's what Cheryl said earlier. She says, I'm well aware of the 4 votes. However, you have to listen to the people that you represent in Ward 3.
I can listen to the people in Ward 3 all day long, and sometimes most times I understand it. But just because I believe it, there's a need. If they believe the need is somewhere else, I'm just out of luck.
Right. Because it's still going to take 4 votes.
Because it still takes 4 votes.
And I'm sorry, can I say something? I feel that when people have an issue with things, they need to go to the board meeting and address it, instead of they need to go to the board meeting, because if more of Ward 3 have an issue, go to the board meeting and address it, because Audwin can't do it by himself.
Well, and that's the thing. Right now, this is the first time in the history of Beaumont that we can get equitable relief for our community, because the majority knows we've not had equitable treatment in our communities. So anyway, okay.
Someone said, Terror says, do you think that inflow and infiltration is a major issue as far as inflow of rainwater into our sewer system? And if a study is done, will they be able to act upon it?
Yes, they will be able to act upon it. And yes, there's always going to be a need, because when you repair the older part of the system, then there are other areas of the system while we're doing the repairs on that older area. Other areas that become older, they began to have problems. And the problems in that older area, the new older area, it creates problems somewhere else. So we're always chasing the leaks, the weak piping, we're always dealing with the pump stations, the aging of the pump station. So it's going to always be an issue, but that's why we have to stay on top of our infrastructure maintenance. Because when we replace one place, somewhere else is getting old. So it's an ongoing issue. It'll never be perfect, but we can strive to be perfect. And we can strive to try to stay on top of it so that you don't have as many problems. Because I know where Terry was living, that was problems for a long time, still problems. But it's not just with his area, but it also has to do with the pump stations. And there's so many things that go along with it.
So what can you do as City Councilman for Ward 3 that could jive with Ward 2, so it could be equitable amount of money going both ways?
Well, that's a delicate balance, because if you're spending more money,
Ward 3 is, like you said earlier, that's a big expansion. Ward 2 is not that big, right?
Right.
So,
but here's the issue. Here's the dilemma. In order to improve anywhere, it takes what? Money?
Yeah.
Okay. And that means as we increase spending, We have to increase revenues from somewhere.
So that means the taxes will go up.
That means taxes will go up. So that's why it has to be planned development. Now that's where the true dilemma comes. When some folks, I mean, for a long time, well, I'm not going to even use the analogy I just thought about, but there are projects that's been proposed 10 years ago, but they're sitting because of the amount that would be needed for that project. While waiting for that project to go from the design stage to the construction stage, something else could be moved into the budget in the next budget year that bumps that one back another year. And if a project continues to be bumped back, you can be looking at 8 to 10 years. It's been on in the budget, but hadn't happened and hadn't gone to the construction phase because of other things being put in. And it's about the money, being able to fund it, maintaining the same level of services, not laying off employees, but not raising taxes. So those are all issues that you have to deal with as we deal with the budget year.
Mm-hmm. So since you've been sitting at the table of councilmen, and you know how votes go and how someone will renege against you, my question to you is that how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our city or our ward?
The residents have to get involved like right now. We have to increase voting. We can't wait till an election to talk about getting out the vote. We need to increase the populace in voting when there's no election. We need to be organized in our communities so that they will respect the vote. We have the numbers, but we don't exercise them. Less than 18% of the population voted in the last municipal election. It's not them. It's not what they can do or not what we can do. It's what we can do together. Numbers. That is the key to changing things. It has been the key to change, bring about change over the years. The numbers, unity in numbers. That's what makes the difference. That's what brings about the respect. Because if there's a precinct that has 2,000 residents that's registered to vote, and only 200 of them vote, how much attention you think the majority is going to give to that precinct?
Yeah. This lady, Pamela Jones, want to know if I'm going to ask a question. Let me see. I think you already answered this earlier. She probably wasn't on. She said, you're seeking another term. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that you have not done in 30 years?
Well, one, see, a lot of folks don't realize what has been done.
Right.
Right now, we have 4 votes on, well, we have 4 people that have experienced life from the glasses and lens of a Black person, a person of color. I don't play the race card all the time, but I know that does exist. So I know right now we have a city manager who's been Black all his life.
Mm-hmm.
He understands our community. Our mayor understands our community. And we didn't hire the city manager because he was Black. We hired him because he was the best person for the job.
Right.
That happened to be a Black man that has experienced being Black all his life. So it's not what I can do. I'm human. I don't have all the answers. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I've learned as an athlete what it means to have teammates that will carry their load. I can't do it by myself.
Right.
I fought, and a lot of folks didn't understand it. I didn't have a problem with my colleague Mike Getz. Everybody always say, well, you and Mike Getz just can't get along. It's not about Mike. I'm sorry, but I got to go deeper than that. It's about spirits. We deal with spirits. There are some people that want to do the right thing. There are some don't give a damn about the right thing.
Right.
And you got to call it like it is. There are some folks want me to do something, but they're not going to do anything to help me. They push me out there. I'm in front of the bus. Oh, he got hit.
By yourself.
So it's not about what I can do by myself. And anybody that tell you what they gonna do, they can't do it by themselves.
Yep.
I'm only as strong as those people that are behind me.
That's right.
That's the weakest link.
Yep.
And I think I've proven to this community that this is not about me. I could care less about being on TV or somebody knowing who I am. That don't matter. It's what I can get done at City Hall.
Right.
What I've accomplished thus far was being in the minority the whole time.
Yeah.
They didn't give it to us. They didn't give it to me, but I learned how to deal with the system. So, I mean, folks can always say what I hadn't done. And for those who feel that way, I understand. I ain't throwing no shade. But I'm fighting.
Terry Roy says, I'm sorry. I just want to throw the questions out to you because I don't want to be for them to be left alone. He says the only way, in my opinion, for Beaumont to catch up is to increase its tax base people. The more people we lose, the longer it would be to catch up in all the areas of the city.
I agree, Terry. I agree. That's why some folks say, well, why are we doing things like parks? Why is a park so important? Quality of life issues. What are we doing? You know, it's not just what we do. You know, we're looking at our school district. We have to create jobs. We have to create commerce. We got to be friendly to small businesses. We got to grow small businesses. So yes, I agree, Terry. We got to increase revenues so that we can continue to provide the services that we need. We have to continue to generate revenue so that we can have good, clean water coming into our house, having this wastewater going smoothly out of our house. We got to continue to raise revenues so we can have parks. All of these things, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to continue to try to build coalitions. I'll continue to try to work with Mike today. All members of council. But you got to remember, sometimes people say one thing and do another.
Right.
And I have to deal with that. So that's what's important. And it's not about that don't have no color. It's 4 votes. So 4 people have to believe in the issue that I believe in.
Martha Chisholm says, do your best and nothing less, Mr. Samuel. And I believe in that because that's our slogan for the school. Do your best and nothing less. I mean, there's nothing else you can do. You said
I'll continue to do my best until either I die or they send me home. Either way, When I go to bed at night, I know I've tried to make Beaumont a better place. And I do that not only at City Hall, but I do it at Jefferson County Courthouse.
Yeah.
I'm a public servant, and I serve my people. Um, that's it.
Toya, anything you need to say? Toya.
No, you have a question. I know that Audwin does not really talk about the things that he has done in the community, but can you share with everyone the things that you have accomplished? I don't have the card in front of me, so I can't.
I shared a few, but I'll just go down the list.
Okay.
In the North End, I initiated an economic development plan for business empowerment zone, for housing development co-ops, the Wilson Housing Development, the Cable Street Housing Development, the Forest Street Housing Development. Those were homes built in the North End. As far as infrastructure, we resurfaced and rebuilt Concord Road. We rebuilt and resurfaced Lucas Drive. We rebuilt and resurfaced Magnolia. As far as community development in the North End, we built the Elmo Willard Library and had it named after Elmo Willard. We built the Sterling Pruitt Center, that was early in my career, and named it after a city employee, a Black city employee. We built the John Paul Davis Center, which is there over the community center by Helbick Road. We built the new fire station on Helbick Road. Then in the South End, as far as economic development, we did the Irving Business Enterprise Zone, the housing development cooperations with Doucette Housing Development, Madison Housing Development, Sherman Street Housing Development. As far as infrastructure, we rebuilt Buford, Carroll Street, Madison Street, Irving. As far as community development, we assisted the Family Resource Center, and we moved Charlton Pollard Park from back on Carroll to
Yeah.
over to the existing place, and that housing development right by Charlton Pollard Park. So those were some of the things that were that was done for as far as infrastructure. And then I initiated the first mutual aid agreement with BISD with the crossing guards in the city of Beaumont doing that joint venture. We once had Experience Corps, a tutorial program with BISD, the city funded. I started the Police Advisory Board, which was initially, I was trying to get a police review board, but I couldn't get that. I didn't have the votes to get it. So it went from a police review board to a police advisory board. I initiated the Minority Business Enterprise Program when we had funds to put in minority businesses. I was the founder of the 100 Black Men and the founder of the Black Adoption Council. So those are all things that I tried to get started and was successful with. And even with our Beaumont Youth Council, now I passed that on to AJ, who's doing a great job with that. So there are many things that was done. I don't walk around blowing my horn. It was just a part of the job.
So what distinguishes you from the other other candidates who's running against you?
Three things. One, I have the knowledge to serve. I've been trained. I have the training. I've sat in classrooms for 12, 15, 19 years. I have the experience to serve. I've served over 32 years. So I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. And lastly, the third thing, I've proven my commitment to this city. It would be one thing if I was just sitting there not doing nothing. But when we've had adversities, when the storms come through Beaumont, when people are evacuated, I've been in Beaumont. I've been in the streets, walking, getting people out, helping people to get out. And I've stayed back trying to make sure we're protected when the people come back to their homes. So I've committed myself. And that's not just one day a week. That's 24/7, 365 for 32 years. I still listen. I don't know everything. Have I always gotten it right? No. I've made mistakes, but I learn it. I'm man enough to man up when I make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Have I missed a phone call or two? I have, yes, but I'm not perfect. But I try to return people's call. I try to listen to their concerns, and I try to find a solution. I'm just one man, but I am a man to stand for what I believe.
Right, right. Okay, so we thank you, Councilman Samuel, for your time tonight. Before I go out, Tonya, is there anything that you need to ask?
It's actually two things I would like to ask, and I would like for you to clarify. You have a lot of people who feel because they went to jail that they do not have the right to vote, and that's been instilled in them. And my other question was, is it true that people that are incarcerated, do they have the right to vote?
Their rights can be restored after they've
Okay.
been cleared.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when they're in jail, they cannot vote.
They cannot vote.
Not in jail.
Yeah, because someone told me that. I just wanted to wait till you got on here to clear that up. That's all.
Mm-hmm. They would have to have their rights restored to vote.
Okay.
There's one question that Terry wanted to ask Mr. Samuel,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Will you be willing to call a special meeting to speak with residents who suffer from major sewer issues, who may be contemplating leaving the city, and will be willing to bring that to council? I think it will go a long way."
Sure, I've never had a problem calling a meeting or going to a meeting. That I just hope that I've seen a couple of, well, sometimes we call meetings and there's more staff members than actual others.
Yeah.
But I don't mind. Yes, Terry.
So how would people know that there would be a meeting for residents to come?
Well, that's something I would get with Terry with.
Because a lot of us, well, I do go, every once in a while, do not go to city council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's during the daytime, and can't get there. But I sometimes make it my best issue to go to the meeting. So how would they know who do not go to city council meeting? Which a lot of us should go to city council meeting to see what's going on, because a lot of us don't know what's going on. And then we charge the person that in our ward or wherever, our city councilmen or our mayor or whatever, that we charge them for things that we want. And you got to go to the meetings to see what's going on. But how can we know? How will we know?
Well, if you're participating, you will know. And the thing is, we can't continue to want somebody else to do something for us. We have to be a part of it. Don't leave it up to me to pull together the place, the time, send out invitations, all that. No. Help me. And I'm one of those, I'm sorry, but if a person's not willing to help me, don't tell me what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. Help me.
Yeah. Well, that's in any situation.
That
right. That's life.
Yeah.
We all have responsibilities. We all have a part of this. My question is, what am I doing to help when I look in the mirror?
Mm-hmm.
So I say to anybody else, look in the mirror and find and ask yourself, what have I done to make the situation better or worse?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. We just can't charge just one person.
Right.
Yeah. I appreciate your time. I really do. Anything else, Toya? I'm sorry.
No, thank you, Councilman, for coming on tonight.
Toya, Deb, you know I love you. Hey, that's me.
Love you too.
It's all good. It's all good.
So
Thank you. Thank you. And all of those out there that believe in me and have supported me, I say thank you. And those that don't, give me a chance to prove you wrong. Call on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm gonna be calling on you.
All righty.
Thank you guys for supporting me and Blue Tape. I'm sorry, Councilman. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say now I can go and eat this lunch I got from Rosie's.
Oh, so you're gonna throw that to me, huh? You're gonna do it to me.
Well, it's been sitting over there. I had to grab it after I left the meeting, so I got some oxtails and some candy yams and some greens.
All right. So if I can help somebody, we'll talk and we'll talk. So if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. God bless you. God, y'all keep God first. Everything else will be added. Okay. Good night, guys. Love you, smooches. Hold on, Councilman. Don't you touch that dial.